Welcome, everybody, to another podcast of the Evil Safety Dudes. I am the Director of Risk Management for IBC, and we are a podcast all about occupational health and safety. Everything about how not to die at work and just not get hurt in general. And I got a very special guest host today with me in the IBC podcast fort is Mr. Steve Lamming. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing good and excited to have you here. Known you for a long time and always been in the safety realm together. And your current function right now is what? What are you doing out there?
I'm actually the construction project manager for Royal Canin. And
all right.
Yeah, we're finishing up with phase 2 of our first build.
Oh, cool.
And getting ready to start on phase 3, which is an $80 million addition to the
wow.
plant. So, yeah.
And so when I first met you, I was a pretty green safety guy, and I met you out at the power plant in Mid-America.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
And we'll edit this out if this gets you in trouble, so let me know.
No.
But I remember you took Tracy and I had him on the podcast yesterday.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. He phoned in because he's
cool.
down in Kentucky. But I remember you took us up on the stack.
Yeah.
So if you're going to get in trouble for that, let me know. I'll edit that out. But that was wild.
Yeah.
That was really high.
That was pretty cool.
Cool view of the Missouri River.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember there's an apple tree out there, and Tracy was eating an apple off that. And I was like, eating an apple grown in a power plant. Well, it's not nuclear.
Yeah.
It's coal, so it's probably okay. But he was just chowing on them apples.
He didn't care.
Yeah. But since then, man, you've done a lot of big projects in this town.
Yeah, when I left Mid-American, I kind of went into doing some of my own safety stuff, and as you know, we worked together. You brought me up to speed on getting my OSHA 30 and all the safety things that I needed to do. My biggest project that I got put on was the pork plant.
Yeah, that's
Seaboard Triumph Foods.
If I remember the stats on that, I think to date, it's the biggest pork plant built in the United States to date.
It is, and it's the second largest in the world.
What?
Yeah.
Who's got a bigger one than us?
I don't know.
We got to add on to it.
We've got to find out.
We're not number 2. Yeah, that was a big job.
Yeah, 900. I believe 950,000 square feet. So,
wow.
Yeah, huge.
Crazy. And then building all kinds of plants, and your recent project building the Royal Canin new facility out there.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned, keep building on, and there'll be some demo involved. And so the topic today, I think you're just the guy for, contractor management, construction safety, subcontractor management, herding jello, herding cats. I mean, you got, I don't know, some of these projects you've been on, how many guys you think were on there?
The pork plant, the most that I had at one time was 1,500.
Wow. I mean.
And every guy that came through, I did the orientation for.
Wow. I mean.
And I was the only safety guy. We had other project managers.
Right.
But I was the guy that was driving the safety.
Wow.
And so it was, like you said, it was a lot of times like herding cats, a lot of cats.
1,500 cats.
But the one takeaway that I got from that was I was able to walk away with from that job with 0 lost time accidents.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, construction work is just hazardous. I don't care what you say. And to come out of there with 0 lost time, that's a big deal. So, some plants, I work with a lot of manufacturers,
Mm-hmm.
and they have their own cuss words.
Oh, yeah.
A cuss word to some of them is the word contractor. Because it's like, hey, boss, we got a problem. What? A contractor did this. A contractor did that. And it's like, what? We got to lose. Managing.
They're always the easy scapegoat.
Yeah, and sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
But managing the contractors, getting them all to follow OSHA rules, their own company rules, the site rules, the manufacturer rules. I mean, It's a tough job. And, go ahead and email me for being stereotypical, but sometimes in the construction world, those aren't the folks that are most focused on following safety rules.
Right. They just, exactly. They want to get in and get out.
And safety is stupid, and safety is a waste of time. And so before we go down that road, I asked this of a lot of our guests. What's your best guess on why I named the show Evil Safety Dudes?
Well, because I think the perception is when known safety people walk up, they got their defense up. So it's like, oh, here they are.
Yeah,
it's them evil guys. They're going to nail us for something.
Yeah. And in reality, we're there to keep them alive.
Right.
But in their mind, we're bad.
Yeah.
So I've been called everything but a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it became a joke in my line of work when I would meet someone new at the job.
Right.
In your personal life, it'd be weird.
Yeah.
But on the job, they go, "Hi, this is Aaron." I go, "Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm the evil safety dude." Because you already think
you're breaking that ice. Yeah, you already know it, or they think they know it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then when it came time to name the show, I'm like, Evil Safety Dudes. I mean, it's just
perfect.
So. Have you been considered an evil safety guy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you haven't been, then you're not doing your job.
And that doesn't mean we're being a cop and not a coach.
No,
it's just even doing it in the most sensitive, gentle way.
Yes.
I mean, I've said something so gentle to someone, "Hey, man, could you please put on your safety glasses?" And just blow up in your face.
Yeah.
Does that happen to you?
It has not. But I'd get
you never had anybody blow up at you?
No. So far,
I got to follow you around.
Yeah,
and take
so
some
far
lessons.
not. My approach is I don't come across as I'm gonna be real condescending and we're gonna get to the point.
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask them nicely, "Where are your safety glasses?" And when they say, "I think they're out in the truck,"
right?
And I say, "Well, dude, we have a problem."
Yeah.
They need to be on your head.
On your face,
right on your
over
face.
your eyeballs.
Yeah. So then, so the second time, if it happens, then we have a problem, and I tell them that,
Right,
dude, next time. And so I had a situation where this young man just couldn't get it. And
okay.
I tried to be nice, and I tried to share the importance of wearing safety glasses. I happen to have two family members that have prosthetic eyes.
Wow.
One's my daughter and one's my father-in-law.
Wow.
My father-in-law lost his in an industrial accident. My daughter lost hers in a car wreck. So I have a lot of passion for safety glasses. So when the dude says I don't have them, and I'm saying, "Well, go get them," and then I go to his supervisor and say, "I catch this guy one more time, he's gone." It happened. The young man, I had to send him away.
Wow.
If he can't get it, and I even use those examples.
Right.
At one time, I even carried around. My daughter had numerous different prosthetics that were made up through the course of getting the permanent ones. So I had one of her sort of prototype before and I had it in a cup. And sometimes I'd take that out and I'd shake that.
Man, that's powerful.
And they'd look at me, "What is that?"
That's powerful.
That's a prosthetic eye. It looks good, but you can't see through it.
Right.
Yeah, so.
That's powerful.
And, and then, of course, that word kind of gets around, too.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. And so guys, again, so it's the approach, and just, So.
Do you mind talking about the father-in-law? You said that was industrial.
Yeah, he. I won't say the name of the company.
Right.
But he worked for a feed company. I'll call it. And it was probably close to, it's got to be 35 years ago by now. He was working in a facility where they were swapping out a pneumatic cylinder.
Okay.
On some component of the machinery. Anyway, he swapped it out. Had the old one off, put the new one on, and he realized that his in and out for the pneumatics were crisscrossed.
Okay.
So he thought, so he valved it back out. And when he pulled the hose off, there was no way to bleeding it, or he didn't take care enough to pull it off.
Okay.
And anyway, he pulled the hose and it smacked him right.
Like quick disconnect
the
thing.
little disconnect got him square in
whipped him.
Yes.
Man.
His safety glasses were in his pocket.
Oh man.
Yeah. This was when safety glasses were like, and everybody was resisting big time.
Yeah.
And he, and bless his heart, I mean, he worked all the way up till he was 80 years old.
Wow.
He just retired here a year ago. Yeah.
Wow.
So he's a trooper, but the problem is that he had 3 warnings ahead of that.
Oh, really?
Yes. He had gotten metal in his eye 3 different times.
Wow.
And he still just didn't get it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, again, that's why I got a lot of... I had metal in my eye once, and at that time, safety glasses weren't required. This was back in 1976.
Right.
But it wasn't fun.
Did you have to have
out.
surgery?
I did.
Wow.
And it wasn't fun. So I learned early on when safety glasses come out.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you get to the point where they're just part of you,
Yeah. That's a problem is people don't have our personal experience and our professional experience. So they just think we're nitpicking on a power trip.
Right.
They didn't pick up the finger off the floor like I did.
Right.
For people not locking and tagging it out.
Right.
They haven't gone to the site where the guy just got his foot ripped off and done the accident investigation and seen the blood.
Sure.
They didn't go visit the guy in the hospital to do the accident investigation and see him in there, with spare parts in his body now.
Yeah.
And they just look at us like, you got nothing better to do?
Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
I'm trying to get work done. What are you? You're just here stopping me from.
Yeah. I'm actually trying to
keep you alive.
Yeah. My favorite one is, what's this business yours or mind your own business? I was like, technically, this is literally my business. This is technically how I pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
What I get paid
this is
to
what
do.
I do.
What I get paid to do. This, is say this to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually bill for what I'm doing. Yeah. This is my business, literally. If I was in your home, in your garage,
right,
and you didn't want to wear safety glasses and face shield, and you're doing something you should, and I go, hey, where's your safety? You go, dude, mind your own business. You got me.
Yeah.
No one paid me to be in your garage,
right.
But on that job site, it's literally,
literally
the only I'm not there to hang out. Yeah. I could hang out in some better places.
Yeah.
So that's those. I didn't know that you had those personal stories about the eye, and I had heard about prosthetic eyes. I'd heard about a coral one made out of coral.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I heard that that the idea was the coral is porous, a lot of microscopic holes and little holes, and then if it healed right, that the capillaries, arterioles, the small veins and vessels and muscles and tendons and ligaments would reattach to that coral, like be able to get in there to it, almost like an eye.
And it just...
And so then, if that worked, then someone could actually move the eye.
Really? Yeah.
And that was like the coolest prosthetic thing that I heard of at the time.
That must be new. I do know my father-in-law was able to save the muscles that moves the prosthetic. They were able to attach them, so his eye will move.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it wasn't coral.
Yeah, but it was not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But my daughter, hers was so severe that there was no nothing left in there. Hers, she lost clear back into the orbital and went into her brain. Her eyelid was literally in.
Wow.
They had to pick it out of her brain. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but her eye stays open. She sleeps with it open, and so. But they not only did she lose her eye, but she also had a severe head trauma.
Okay.
So she had traumatic brain injury. She's got scarring on her face. She had to go through a lot of different things and stuff. So
I tell that story of that coral eyeball to get people like all into it. Like, that's cool. And then I say exactly what you already said. But you still can't see it.
Right. It looks good, but you can't see.
I wonder what your father-in-law's made out of that they were able to attach a muscle because, glass or whatever.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine
Well,
them
see,
being able to do
the
that.
thing is, there's the dynamics of a prosthetic eye. I did not know.
Right.
Until
Who does?
now.
Right. Who does? Right.
But basically, what happens? The prosthetic eye is a glorified contact lens.
Okay.
So they literally pop it in and out.
Okay.
The actual prosthetic is behind that.
Oh wow.
In my daughter's case, they had to make that.
Okay.
It literally took bone, plasma, cadaver material to make that because she completely lost all that.
Right. Right.
My father-in-law's was not as severe. His was just from the surface, basically, and it split the film or the covering of the eye, and then the jelly kind of came up.
Wow.
But he still had all the makings of the eyeball, the muscles and things for it to move.
They were able to reuse some of that.
Yeah,
Wow.
and so, but my daughter's was so much more severe, and hers was from a scaffold, 24-foot scaffold pick came off of a truck on the interstate down here by Floyd Monument, and came to the front windshield.
Contractor.
It was a contractor. Exactly. And that's what was going to bring me to the next point, is that sometimes people don't understand or don't realize that what you do may not put you at risk,
Right,
but what
100%.
you do may put someone else
Yeah,
at risk.
yeah.
And it may cause something. And
Yeah.
that's literally what happened in this case.
So, based on that experience, as a safety guy, do you look at loads coming in and going out and going, hey, secure that? Because,
absolutely.
like, me, I know
Yeah.
that information,
Right.
but I have my own experiences, so we can't help but be a product of our experiences.
Exactly.
So I may be more on contractors to do something else, and then you with that experience, I just
more-
wonder if you were like, hey, tie that down, put a strap
Yeah.
on that.
Oh, absolutely. And
Wow.
I see it, and I cringe. My wife and I both. We see it
Okay.
on the highway.
Right.
And we're like, get around him,
Does
Yeah.
that leads me to the next question.
Or you see a pallet laying on the highway.
Right.
And it's like, yeah.
Does your safety life carry over to your personal life?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
My wife is probably sick of if we're cruising around town and we just are driving by construction, like, I'm not even looking. I'm not even trying it. But I'm like,
Right.
whoa, that guy's not tied off. Whoa, the scaffold, there's no guard. I just can't help it.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way. I saw a guy in a boom lift, and they were clearing some trees for it's a new subdivision of homes, and
Okay.
so the guy was up there, and he was all the way extended out, probably 60 feet up there, and first thing I'm looking for is he tied off.
Right,
and
right.
Of course, he didn't even have a harness on.
Wow.
And I'm like, I've seen videos of these guys,
Yeah.
and they're moving, and all of a sudden they get bounced right out of there.
We had a death recently in Sioux City.
It was in Sioux City.
A tree death. I thought.
really?
No, maybe it was just
There
in the
was one
surrounding area.
In Norfolk, they had a guy. I think that it was a scissor lift, and it tipped over.
This one's a tree trimming.
Okay, that was. Okay,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
one I don't know about.
and the harness was in the lift.
Not on him, but in it.
Yeah, and he fell and died with the harness right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's just, and if that isn't powerful enough to use as a example when you bring this up to these guys,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we need to do as safety guys, is use the real world situation and tell them, and I do that a lot.
I tried to. It got me one time though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like bad.
really?
Yeah, so I was doing OSHA 10 at the home builders, and we had a bunch of contractors in there. And so we're doing the intro to OSHA, and, so I was like, anybody know of any local fatalities? And this guy raised his hand, he goes, yeah, my son. And I was like, oh, snap, like, let's move on. And he's like, I don't mind talking about it. I was like, you, sir, you do not have to talk about this at all. He raised his hand, I didn't. You tell me. And so he didn't mind talking about it. And he said, I got my son a job with me. And there was like this moving part that something was jammed in it, and
Tried to unjam it.
and he got in, and 18 years old and gone.
Oh, man.
And then I guess it got me 2 times.
That poor guy.
I guess it got me 2 times. I was in another class talking about local fatalities, and this guy was on site when it happened. This other fatality in town where this guy got crushed by a falling wall.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a young man, and I think he had a young kid, and his wife was pregnant or something.
Oh, man.
But I mean, and this has been years ago, you know.
I kind of recall that here in town. It was on a construction site.
Yeah,
I recall that.
And the guy was on site when it happened, and he's not even the one talking about it, but I'm monitoring everybody's face.
Right.
And this guy's swelling up over there.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I'm like, all right, guys, you know.
Yeah.
Let's, you know, like, I 100% agree that, like, when you make it reality, it has more impact.
Yeah. Definitely.
And most of the time is no problem, but every now and then you get someone who was there, and and then you got to like tread real carefully.
Yeah, tread carefully. Yeah.
But yeah, when I could bring up a local story, I think people pay attention more.
You bet they do.
If I'm like, yes, in 1991 in Texas, people are like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, last year in Sergeant Bluff.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, oh.
Brings it right to home.
Yeah, and talking about those 2 plumbers in North Sioux.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it brings it home.
You bet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I got some questions for you on managing contractors. What do you think is the most common thing you have to correct them to do? Common rule broken by a contractor?
Well, obviously the PPE is the one that is the easiest for them to let go.
Yeah.
You know,
Which one of the PPEs?
So safety glasses is probably the top, without a doubt.
Because it's a site requirement, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I do believe that the safety glasses march that started back in the late 80s.
Okay.
We've come a long way since then.
For sure.
But I think that there are some young fellows that come in.
Okay.
Of course, you know, they're mavericks and
Invincible,
and so they have to be indoctrinated into it because, you know, well, for one thing, I'm just glad to have young fellows come in and do the work because
labor shortage.
Yeah, we just don't have the but. And the other thing that I think would probably be one of the biggest hurdles that I have with regards to trying to explain downfalls in not having PPE is sometimes there's language barriers.
Oh yeah,
and so I have to get someone,
right.
and I've had that happen many times, but I can tap into one of these other guys and say, hey, I've been trying to tell these guys, I don't know if they're understanding.
Right.
So he'll go and tell them, and then I'll be standing behind him and going like,
what he said.
And then they're, yeah. You know, so, and that's just a way of life that we have right now. And so we just persevere through that. But definitely safety glasses.
Yeah. You know, I've had issues. Definitely safety glasses, I think, is probably number one. But in construction, you know, hard hats, pretty good on it. But I've had these contractors, like, they're smaller on small sites, and their company rule is to wear the hard hat, but not the site rule, and none of the other contractors are wearing it. That's when I get, you know, like, here comes the evil safety guy. So I'm like, hey, dude, put on your hard hat. Nobody else is wearing it. Yeah, but it's your company rule, and they asked me to make sure you're following their rules and OSHA rules. So and then I've had some legit comebacks, really legit comebacks. You know, I was on a roof one time.
Yep.
Guy's not wearing his hard hat. I'm like, hey, bud, you need to put your hard hat on. Why? What's going to fall on my head? You ever had that?
Oh, yeah. Lots of times.
And they're 100% right.
Yeah, they are.
There wasn't even anything to bang his head on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it, but it's a site rule.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why we're the evil safety dudes, you know, because we're like, wear a hard hat when there's no reason to.
Right.
You know, and, you know.
It makes it tough to enforce that. But, I've had that same situation.
Yeah.
It's like, what can fall in my head? Now, on the other hand, there's been situations, and I'm sure you've run into these too, Aaron, is that there are times that they have to take their hard hat off to be able to get down and look underneath something,
Yep.
and they got to stick their head in a certain way. And I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. Or there's times looking through a transit, and I've dealt with some of my guys, my claimant, contractors this way. And they got their hard hat either off or they got it backwards so they can look through the transit.
Yeah.
They're looking in there. And as long as I guess there's not anything to fall in their head, I'm okay with that. But as soon as you're done doing that, put that back on, man. Because a lot of times what they'll do is they walk off, start doing something else.
Right.
And it's like, hey, your hard hat. Well, I was looking in the transit. Yeah, but you're not right now.
Yeah. I mean, as a safety guy, sometimes we will allow something for that super reasonable reason.
Right.
But super temporary.
Yeah, exactly.
And then some people take that,
they take it further. Which
a mile.
Yeah, you
human
give them an
nature.
inch, take a mile.
Yeah.
Yep. It's human nature.
So on a construction site, you got contractors. Those contractors have hired subcontractors, and you got everybody, and you're all working together, and then you're the guy that's got to keep them all following the rules. Now, let's talk about a rule change, because I understand you've been in projects where they go from maybe a construction rules and then a magic date happens, and then their general industry rules.
Right.
And has that caused any problems? Or
for the most part, that hasn't, because...
Or how did you not let it? Because that should be a problem. Today, 6 feet. Tomorrow, 4 feet.
Right. Here's the biggest problem that we run into, Aaron, is back when we finished towards the end of phase 2 of our phase 1. I'm sorry, which is the initial build. We had to go from construction standards to Mars standards.
Right. Okay.
That was a big adjustment for the contractors.
Yeah.
Because, of course, Mars standards are much more stringent.
Yeah, they're not playing. They're into safety.
No, they are. And I mean, the only differences really are that they have to tie off in a scissor lift with construction standards. You don't.
Right.
However, what was happening, even when we were during the construction standards, is they would be standing on the mid rail, stuff like that, not having a harness on. And I would become livid. That.
Yeah.
I was like, and I had to escort folks off.
Wow.
I had one guy, actually, there was a guy in a scissor lift that was extended. He was just moving, just fine tuning where he was going to be. And this dude come running, and he just started climbing up the outside, right in front of me.
What?
And I got the operator, they got a piece of iron hanging, and there's guys on each side.
Wow.
And this dude's climbing. I'm like,
that's so dangerous.
Well, naturally, we called him down, and he had an excuse. I've
did
done
he
this
climb
on my
down,
other
or
job.
did the guy
no, they
take
came.
him down?
I told him, I said, come down. They came down. He got out, and I started chewing on him, and he said, I said, what are you thinking?
Right.
Well, I used to do that on the other job I was on.
Yeah.
I said, well, we don't do it on this job.
Yeah.
So
you need to go back through scissor lift training.
So literally, we ended up letting him go because he was one that wasn't going to be
just
trainable.
wasn't gonna.
Yeah, some guys just aren't trainable.
No, it's rare, but they're out there. And imagine if this coworker who was in control of the lift didn't know he was climbing up.
It started coming down.
Yeah. Or even up, I think, because those come more together when you go up. Just moved it.
Yeah.
Imagine if he did a micro adjustment and just made the guy fall because he's moving.
Exactly.
Man,
that's scary. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah. And then to do it in front of the safety guy. Yeah. I was talking about this on the last podcast. Spent a couple years building ethanol plants, as a safety guy.
Yeah.
And I remember walking into a room to check on the guys, and all of a sudden, click, 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 everyone's tying off. Everyone's clipping into something.
You could hear them.
Yeah, I could hear them. Yeah, and that was one of the ways I knew there was people above me.
Otherwise,
because I hear the clicking, and I'm looking, there is people up there. and then you walk in the room, boom, glasses or the glasses are down or up. You walk in the room, everybody's putting them correctly on.
Mm-hmm.
You walk in a room, everyone's like jumping because they don't have a hard hat and go grab a hard hat.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought, like, wow, this is not like where it should be. People shouldn't be getting safe or following the rules when the safety guys walk. Because then all you're telling me, guys, is you're not doing this any other time.
And you don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever seen anything like that? You walk in a room and people start they'll dancing a little bit.
The biggest one right now is, since we have the mask mandate in the plant, and that's probably the biggest struggle I have. I won't call that PPE, but actually it is PPE because we are trying to protect ourselves from the virus. Is that they'll have it either on their chin, on their neck, on their hard hat. I've seen and there's some that don't, and so I'll say something to them, and but your guys don't wear them either. I don't care about those guys. You guys are my guys, and you will wear them.
Yeah, I love that excuse. You did it first.
Yeah.
That's not a valid grown-up excuse.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have noticed that with masks because people know I'm a safety guy. Mm-hmm. So when I'm somewhere where they have to wear a mask and they're not have it on right, I see them look at me and put it on. And I wasn't even thinking of it, but I think it's funny. So some of these construction sites and managing the contractors and getting them to follow the rules, without naming any of the previous companies or anything, you ever just had a bad rule that you were in charge to enforce and you kind of felt bad or dumb or mean enforcing it,
I guess the biggest challenge that we had was moving from the construction standards to the MARS standards, was that scissor lift, again, that's required to be tied off. And the guys were so used to the whole first part of the phase not being tied off unless they had to crawl. And there are times when they, I realize they got to lean out and stuff like that. And I understand that, as long as you're tied off. And if you have to crawl out, you got to make sure to tie off to structure.
Right.
And I get all that. But there was a lot of resistance. And the other thing that went with that is that you have to have a spotter for every lift that's out there.
Okay.
When you got a man in there, there has to be a spotter.
Right.
And so now you're taking most time, a lot of times, just a one-man job, making it a two-man job.
Right.
The companies don't like that because that costs them more money.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's, of course, your fire watch and all that stuff. And I get it. If there's, there takes three things to burn, and most of what we have out there, you can only put two, and you can't.
Okay.
We got concrete and steel. And
right.
You add a little bit of fire to it. There really isn't any fuel out there.
Right.
But we still have to have, because that's what's required.
Okay.
This is what FM Global, our insurance company, requires us to do. And making sure you have a fire extinguisher, and is it inspected, and do the guys know how to run just things like that. And a lot of times the guys just, if you let them, they just go through kind of mediocre motions instead of, you know what I mean. And try to explain to them the seriousness of this is why we're doing it, and you really need to be on your A game no matter what.
I mean, and at the end of the day, I've had to give this explanation a million times when it's a rule that I'm in charge to enforce, but yet maybe it's not super practical. I've had to give this speech. Hey, man, I don't make the rules. I'm just here to make sure we're following them.
Yep.
And I try to save a little face personally as the safety guy. Like, hey, man, I get it. I get it. But at the end of the day, this is a rule, and they asked me to enforce it. So just like you got a job to do, I got a job to do. Try not to give me too hard a time. I'm just doing my job. Have you ever given that speech before?
I have before. and actually, I will tell you about one individual. And actually, it was a couple of times I called him out on not necessarily safety rules, but work techniques. And it had to do with using a grinder.
Okay.
And being an ex construction worker myself,
Okay.
and being a maintenance man
Right.
in power plants, and I've got a lot of experience. I was, like I said, certified welder, mechanic.
Yeah, that's cool.
I understand all that stuff, and that helps make me a better safety guy.
100%.
But when I point out to him that, man, you really should do it this way. Because
Right.
and he looked at me and go, well, yeah, that's a good idea.
Right.
And I said, I'm sorry to nitpick, man. He said, no, you're just doing your job. And I'm like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm just
that's
doing my job.
refreshing.
Yeah,
when
it
you
is.
Get that.
And this is the same individual a couple different times I pointed out, and he said that to me, and he was sincere. And so
That's
I'm like,
nice.
yeah, no, that makes me feel good.
Yeah. So you mentioned coming from your tools. That's kind of the term that I've heard thrown around. A safety guy use when he didn't start in safety. He came from being in the labor and all that. And how do you think? Because you mentioned that it's helped you. How's like maybe a specific like knowing what it's like to have to do the job. How has that helped you be a safety guy?
Yeah, I'll give you a good example. Like I said, I was a welder for many years. A good 25 years. My career was welding, and I did a lot of welding. And so I had contractors come in that were wearing their hoods with no safety glasses underneath.
Okay, yeah.
Their thought is that, well, I can't see to weld. And, well, you'll learn.
Right.
Because I did.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
well, that's,
I mean, that sounds like a good excuse for a safety guy that never welded before.
No, man, I like that.
But I'm like, hey, man. He says, well, I can't see to weld. I said, well, you will learn, because I did. When they look at you like, I said, I welded for 25 years.
Wow.
And 20 of those 25 years, I was wearing safety glasses. And I learned how to do it. Now, I get it.
Yeah,
if you got bifocals on.
Right.
And but there's ways around that.
Right.
And that was, I found my way by putting a cheater in my hood and then putting regular safety glasses on.
Nice.
So I could see good when my hood was up with my safety glasses. When I put it down, now I can weld.
Wow.
But again, it's just technique and experience.
Right.
And I just love it when a guy tells me that,
I
can't do that because of this. Like they're telling me that I don't know.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because this guy was in a leadership role, and he was going to tell me, you got to explain to me about, welding. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You'll learn.
Yeah. I wonder how many of those trade type of nuances have tradesmen used as an excuse to not follow the safety rule.
Oh, yeah.
And got away with it because the safety person just didn't know that's a line.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that, Officer, I wasn't wearing my seatbelt because I couldn't drive with it on.
Restricted my driving abilities, man.
He's going to go, I drive with it on all the time. You're going to learn.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to drive anymore.
Yeah, you're not, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I teach welding safety as a safety guy, and I tell those guys right up front, I'm not teaching you how to weld.
No.
And you don't want me to,
Yeah.
because I'm not. I pay people because I can't do it.
Right.
If I could do it, that'd be awesome. I would have the coolest grill at home.
Yeah.
I would fab one up.
Yeah.
But no, I pay people, so I'm not teaching you how to weld, but I'm teaching you how not to die while you're welding.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I can do that.
Yeah.
But I can't teach you how to run a really good beat.
Right. You just keep doing that, and I'll tell you how to do it safely.
Yeah. I'll tell you how to inspect your oxygen and your acetylene, how to keep them up, and I'll tell you how to store it, and I'll teach you to take the ground off when you're done and turn it off, and not use damaged equipment. And
right. One of my biggest hurdles that I had along them same lines that had just come to my mind was we had, as you know, we buy a lot of our stuff overseas, and so European, it could be China, anyway, all over. And sometimes they'll send a factory representative from that same country. So, so they'll bring their habits and their their culture with them.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have to try to get them up to speed. Okay, again, there's this little bit of language barrier.
Right,
so
right.
I wish I would have worked on my French and my
Yeah.
Spanish in school.
Yeah.
But, and again, the same thing. I try to explain to them, you have to have safety glasses on, but I can't see.
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
You're gonna learn how.
Yeah,
Maybe the safety glasses in your country you couldn't, but the safety glasses in this country you can.
We got magic glasses.
So, have you ever had someone come from another country that was actually more safe than what you were asking because of those countries' standards? I haven't had it yet, but I've heard that some of the European countries, they're light years ahead of us in safety.
Yes, the ones that I will say it would be people that were from Royal Canin or Mars.
Okay.
That are up to speed on the standards.
So maybe
they've been exposed, but for the most part, the ones that I've been dealing with so far,
you weren't
they're
impressed
mediocre.
with their safety?
Yeah, they're mediocre. However, I did have one guy that was from Austria.
Okay.
And he had done quite a bit of work for different Mars sites
Okay.
and Royal Canin sites, and he at least tried to do as best he could with what he had, and we had
Nice.
to provide a lot of things for him because when they're traveling
Yeah.
from over the pond, they don't bring a lot of stuff
Yeah.
with them, and so we had to set them up with welders, and they had their own hood and things like that.
So nothing like guy was like, in my country, this would be illegal. You know?
Yeah, no, I never did have that. Yeah.
I ran into it from California people before.
Really?
Yeah. Cal OSHA.
Oh,
They're
a little stricter.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
So we got them federal OSHA books.
Mm-hmm.
They threw it away. They're like, that's weak. And they wrote their own California OSHA standards.
Big old thick
And
book.
yeah,
Wow.
they just, I heard they were copying some of these strict European countries.
Really?
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to find that strict European country. I haven't
Whichever
found
one
it yet.
that is. Yeah.
Because everybody I've taught from Europe really
Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah.
didn't impress me on their safety prowess.
Yeah.
But anyway, this guy almost got himself fired. He was a safety guy from California. So he's used to adhering and enforcing those California OSHA rules.
Mm-hmm.
This was a job in Arkansas we were on together. And
Oh.
he's enforcing rules that are not a rule.
Oh.
Because he did come from insane
And
high ones.
And he's trying to, and those guys are like bare bones.
Yeah, they're.
They're- yeah.
And so that was kind of problematic. We're like,
I
this
can
is not
see.
OSHA. Yes, it is OSHA. No, this is not OSHA. Yes, it
Right.
is. Turns out we were both right. It was OSHA, but it was California OSHA. Wasn't the OSHA that was
Right.
enforceable in Arkansas. Well, we're butting heads. It's
Oh, I
OSHA. No,
suppose.
it's not. And we're both right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was challenging for me. Knowing like if I had a safety job in Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
like I know that they exceeded the federal regs just a little
Just
bit.
a little bit. Yeah.
Around here, I could be lazy because Iowa,
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska, South Dakota, even though in Iowa we run our own OSHA, they didn't really go above and beyond. They just ran their own program.
Right.
In South Dakota and Nebraska didn't run their own OSHA, so it's all fed states. So I
Mm-hmm.
can go in the tri-state, any of those three states, and my knowledge is good
Mm-hmm.
on OSHA.
Yeah. They're all pretty much the same.
Yeah, I go into
yeah.
Minnesota, I might be off a little bit. You gotta let me read your state's regs before I take this job.
Right.
you know.
Right. Familiarize.
But that's how it is for you, because like when you were doing an STF job, you had different construction rules from that general. You still had, federal construction rules,
Right.
but
Right.
the federal rules are minimum. It's always the plan or the general's rules that probably exceed those.
Yep.
And then you go to another site and they got totally different rules. And then you go to another site and they got totally different rules. And keeping all that straight, and what's OSHA, what was company, what was, that's challenging for safety people.
I'll tell you what one of my biggest battle was, and going back to the pork plant, is I had one company, and they're local, that they the requirement for the contractor that ran that job, I won't mention the name, but anyway, big contractor out of Chicago. The requirement was that you have to do a job safety analysis every day.
Okay.
Yeah, and most all complied. They had their own, which was fine.
Okay, their own
I didn't.
form.
Yeah, I get
Right.
it, and I'm not going to try to make you use this one if
Right.
you guys got that one. Not reinventing the wheel. This one particular company, their safety guy,
Okay.
he said we don't have to do that.
Wow.
He said OSHA says we don't have to.
Oh, so he
And
was
said,
playing
but-
that OSHA
but
card.
EPS,
Yeah,
the
the-
company
yeah,
said
yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
Oh, and they never did. They just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, wow.
And it was very, very frustrating to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting
And
people to follow the company rules.
They did something really blatant, really, really blatant. And they saw me and I was walking. They saw me from quite a ways coming. They knew where they were in the wrong, and they saw me, and right away they started walking away.
Yeah, yeah.
Both of them hand in hand, and I'm like, and I'm looking up there, and the cable's down. There's guys working right along me.
Wow.
And so I hollered at him, and then he kind of looked around like,
Right.
oh.
Yeah.
And so I stopped and I discussed with both of them, and the one guy, safety guy, he said, well, they're almost done.
Yeah.
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 I heard that.
Yeah. That reminds me, I was on this job site where our job trailer was pretty far away from the site. So it was a long walk. And every time I would go out to do an inspection, to do a walk around, everybody was pretty good. I was like, I was kind of taken by it. Like, wow, I'm not used to this. I'm used to click, put on the hard hats when they see me. And one guy who was kind of my friend and in the labor pool, he was like, Aaron, they see you coming a mile away. They recognize your hard hat and your vest and the coat that you wear.
Right.
And I was like, oh, so it's the same as everywhere. They just got a heads up. So then I got a different vest and a different hard hat.
Exactly.
To test the theory.
Sure.
Because I wasn't sure, it was accurate. And I learned my lesson there. I actually almost caused an incident doing that.
Really?
Yeah, because I was scaring people.
Oh, they were like,
Because
they just go into panic because
Well,
they didn't have time to.
Yeah, because I would get right next to them and they'd turn around and go, whoa, because, they're used to safety. They could say that out loud because I'm so far away I can't hear it.
Right.
So one time when I was doing this guy was standing on this top of an A-frame ladder on the cab. And so I'm walking up to him, and, I see the guy looking around, but he didn't know it was me because I switched my hard hat and my vest.
Right.
So I was able to get right up to him and go, hey, how's it going? And when he looked down, he did that double take, and the ladder wobbled, and he almost fell off the ladder. So then I was like, whoa.
Wait a minute.
Like I could spook someone into an injury.
Right.
And he already knew he was busted.
Yeah, he knew.
Because But man, I learned a couple weird lessons that day.
Oh, I bet.
You need to let them kind of know you're coming, but you can't let them know you're coming too far away.
Right. Along those lines too, I like to change up my pattern of when I do those. If you and they get onto that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, he'll be rolling in here around 9 o'clock, so we'll be ready.
Yeah, he has to do this meeting, and then he's got to issue these permits. He won't even walk around here till this time. They got it down.
Oh yeah,
they got it down.
So if you change that up, that keeps them confused, and then also keeps them on their toes.
Yeah, coming in at weird times.
Yeah.
It's just like being a kid. My dad, he had this Cadillac. I think he had a 429 in it. It's a big engine. Yeah. And he was into the cool sound of it. I forget if he had cherry bombs or glass packs on it or what. Yeah. But you could hear his car a long ways away.
So
that rumble. So yeah, I was
got stuff in order by the time he got rolled in.
If we were doing anything we weren't supposed to, and we hear that engine, we're like. Friends over might have thought we were weird because they're not listening for that. But all of a sudden we're like doing something, and then all of a sudden just stop dead in our tracks. But it's funny how contractors do that with us safety people, and convincing them that that's not our goal is to bust them, and that we're here to help them. It's a tough sell.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I had a kind of fun vindication moment on that one time.
Mm-hmm.
I was teaching in OSHA 10 here, and I was doing some funny voices. I was telling a story, and when I went to mimic the contractor side, I was a rough, gruff guy.
Sure.
So I was like, put on safe glasses, and the guy's like, no, why should I? I always do that. That's like my contractor voice.
Yeah.
Why should I? And this guy took offense to it.
Oh.
He's like, yes, that's what you think of us. We're all rah, 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 right?
Yeah.
He gave me a hard time for using a rough, angry voice to simulate the contractor.
Yeah.
So about a month later, it's totally accidental, none of this planned. I'm on site.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's there. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
His coworker wasn't wearing the PPE that he was supposed to, and it was my job to correct that.
Yeah.
So I go, hey man, you want to put on safe glasses? And that guy's like, why should I? And he responded to me exactly how I mimicked, and that guy was right there. And the guy goes, I get it. And I was like, wow, how do you plan that?
Yeah,
but it was funny.
You couldn't make that up.
Because in his mind, well, I don't sound like that.
Yeah.
You're mimicking me. I'm a contractor, but okay, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
But your coworker does.
Yeah,
the
he does.
actual coworker.
Yeah. And you just heard him, just like I did.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, you don't get many of those moments. It's a kind of a thankless job, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I will say that I try to have periodic meetings with the whole group.
Nice.
We always have a kind of a briefing in the morning. We do our permits and stuff like that. And that can be very brief. But I try to have one at least monthly, if not more frequent, depending on what's going on, where we talk about some of the things that, that I'm concerned with.
Right.
Well, first of all, I always start out any conversation that I have, I try to be positive. Hey, thanks for doing this. And I learned that I was in the behavior-based safety. I'm a facilitator.
Nice.
And I learned a lot about human behavior just going to different seminars and classes.
Cool.
And facilitator school. And that I did learn that you have to be positive, and you have to give some, give them the good stuff first, and then go, bud, you need some side shields on them safety glasses.
Yeah.
You got safety, and are they really safety glasses? Oh yeah, they're safety glasses. Well, how come you don't have side shields?
Right.
And but you kind of break your way into them. So again, like at these all hands meetings, we'll discuss some of those things and let everybody, because everybody don't know the discussion you might have had with that one guy.
Yeah.
And I don't point out
No,
that guy,
definitely
but
not.
I just
You
say
gotta
we
bring
had
it
a
up.
situation.
Yeah.
And here's what happened, so I want you guys to all
Sometimes they
understand.
point it out. Thanks, Bill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they write each other out.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, what you were talking about? Look over there.
Yeah.
So it's always good. And I've even at times have a crew that might have done something extra special, and they get helped out with something for our company.
Okay.
That's above and beyond. I'll go grab some breakfast burritos and
That's
take
awesome.
to them. And guys, hey, thanks for your extra efforts. And
That's pretty
they
cool.
They really appreciate that. I mean, if you can't get to a construction worker's heart through his stomach, there ain't no way you're going to get there.
For sure. you get to a safety guy's heart with some breakfast burritos.
I'm
too.
not bribing them either.
Yeah,
but,
no. You need a good balance of positive and negative
yeah.
reinforcement.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be off balance on just one or the other.
If you go out there and you're stomping your feet and you're pounding your fist all the time and you're beating your chest, it ain't going to work, man.
Yeah.
They're going to go against you every bit.
Yeah, you got to be balanced.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a time I was on a construction site, and I'm walking toward this group of guys, and, I'm scanning for PPE, and everybody's got glasses on and stuff, vests on, hard hat. Mm-hmm. And I always have to get close to check the steel-toed shoes, though, because you can't see from far away.
No.
So I'm like, all right, I'm keep making my way there and make sure they all got steel toes. It was a site requirement. Mm-hmm. And but this guy's glasses were looking weirder and weirder as I got towards them. They would look big enough. They look like safety glasses, but like you were talking about them side shields. Mm-hmm. I got there and there was no side shields. And I'm like, are those safety glasses? He's like, oh, you got me. I was wondering if you were going to catch me. And
You
I'm like,
admitted it right away.
yeah.
Huh?
And I'm like, what are
Usually
they?
they don't deny it.
No, this guy was funny. And he was like, I lost mine, and so I stole my sister's sunglasses. Because they were like women, so they were a little bigger. So they kind of had a safety glass look.
Wow.
But no sideshow, so it was a dead giveaway,
My sister's sunglasses.
Yeah, he jacked his sister's sunglasses and was wearing them on site, And it's
Wow.
we were talking about that's kind of the biggest thing we see out there is the safety glasses not on.
Right.
I had a safety guy call me one time, and he said, Aaron, I need the new ANSI standard on safety glasses. Mm-hmm. He's like, I can't afford to buy it personally. Company won't buy it. You're supposed to be helping us out. You think you buy it for me and send it to me? And I was like, sure, but why?
Yeah.
You're like, I already could tell, like, this isn't good. If you want the ANSI standards on safety glasses on a construction site, like, there's something you're not telling me.
Yeah, there's something more to it.
So, it's like $80 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to need a little bit more to get approval from my boss for this expense.
Right.
Well, I'm in this big feud out here with these guys. And I'm like, what? You can't get them to wear safety glasses? He said, no, they're all wearing their safety glasses.
Okay,
and I'm like, dude, that's like one of the biggest accomplishments. Like, why, as a construction safety guy, why are you not okay? Like, you have done a major accomplishment.
Right.
Well, there was this new ANSI standard came out a few years ago that it was detailing that ANSI Z8 7.1 marking had to be not only on the lenses but the frames.
Oh, the frames too.
Like, they all had to be safety. Like, you couldn't just have safety lenses and non-safety frames, or safety frames and non-safety lenses. So there's a special new marking nuance deep in the weeds law, and he knew it for some reason. He keeps up on ANSI updates, and he went to enforce that. And asked the guy, show me your safety glasses, and it didn't have both markings. And so he's like, these are wrong. And this guy's, what are you talking about? They're safety glasses. So it was this big, ego match. Oh, and he wanted me to buy the new standards to send to him so he could go, see right here, ANSI Z.7 update 2000. And I was like, look, dude, I got your back. I'm going to send you these regs. I'm going to purchase them. But I was like, word to the wise, guys that go to that level usually don't make it very long.
No.
Like,
I was going to say,
they're wearing their safety glasses.
Yeah, they're wearing them. Leave them alone.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
But, you could get, like, unbalanced in your adherence to rules. And that's something that I've always respected about you. You've always had a really good balance, a really good common sense, and that's important, and that probably comes from your tools. You know what it's like.
Yeah. I've had many times, and I'll just give a couple examples, but I always tell the guys that if you're in doubt, stop, call me.
Right.
And let's talk about it.
Right.
Because it's a lot easier to ask for permission than to beg for forgiveness.
Right. Yeah.
It's not the same way as at home.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. And I've helped work through several different items that we've. I'll give you one example. Guys wanted to lift up some duct work, it was actually cooling units in the cold room at the plant, and they were going to use scissor lift. And I said, you really can't use a scissor lift. And well, how are you going to do it? Well, we're going to set them on the handrails, and then we're just going to lift it up, and then we'll just run it up to the all threads, and then we'll bolt it up, and then we'll just let it down. I said, well, technically, do you know how much it weighs? Yeah, it only weighs like 300 pounds, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, your most of your scissor lifts are rated anywhere from 500 to, whatever. They had a decent scissor lift.
Okay.
And that was the only way that they could do it. So I said, okay, let's can we support it from the actual floor of the scissor lift rather than the handrails?
Okay.
And how do you think we could do that? Well, I don't know. I said, well, I think I know. I said, why don't we put some pipe stands inside of there? We'll put 3 of those.
Okay.
And you can have them up, and you'll set that that unit down on those pipe stands, which are spread out over
Right,
the floor of that scissor lift, and then one guy goes up, and you take it up, and they did it, and they got all done, and the guys come to me later, and they go, man, we're going to use that
That's
all the
awesome.
time now,
Yeah.
because that worked out really good.
It's really nice when you could do that. You could help someone be compliant,
Yeah.
be safe, but yet be productive. And that's where I think the rubber meets the road of a good safety person is. Am I always just fighting your production and making things more difficult? Or can I marry the two? Can I use my brain and help you with you come up with a way to get it done, but safely?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think that's the biggest thing we can do with safety jobs. Help everybody just do the job safe.
Exactly.
And it would be cool in a utopian world where we're all working together to achieve that. We're not like, let's stop and think. No, I don't want to talk to you. You're dumb.
I don't like your ideas.
Yeah,
well, I know. I don't need you to tell me.
Yeah.
Let's
Let's
a
work
lot of
together.
pride that's out
It should
there.
be a team thing. Like, let's get safety over here.
Exactly.
We're brainstorming.
Yeah.
We should have the guy who's focused on safety over here.
Exactly.
That'd be nice.
And that has happened. If we do any kind of critical lift, we all get together as a team. We'll talk about the critical lift, and we know the weights, we know the boom radius, and all that stuff. And we document all that. We inspect all the rigging, make sure on a critical lift, and then the same thing goes for. Like if we're going to do a confined space and you've been involved in them, we'll sit down as a group and discuss.
Right, let's figure it out.
What's our plan? Rather than just going out there and you get there and you go, well, I need this and I need that, so I got to go back. And we'll talk
and then
about
they're
it
not
before.
going to. Then they're just going to.
Yeah, we're just going to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Believe it or not, it's been an hour.
Wow, we've already been through an hour.
Yeah, we whipped through that, man. So I super thank you for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom and expertise, and it was a pleasure. And so
Thank you.
help me do the outro. When I give a little pause, you got to say evil safety dudes with me.
All right.
Okay. So for Mr. Steve Lamming, and I'm Aaron Icino, together we are the Evil Safety Dudes. All right, everybody. Until next time, stay safe.